What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Seoul Therapy, the podcast. My name is Daniel.
Daytona.
Today, we are going to talk about a controversy between Sunny and Kwon Ki-Baek in regards to Show Me the Money Season 10, and also, we will each review our top 5 favorite songs for the summer. As usual, if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast on all streaming platforms, and don't forget to give us that 5-star rating. Also, for more contents, please go and follow our socials at Seoul_Therapy, and also please support our page on Patreon as well. So in our last episode, we previewed and just talked about the upcoming 10th season of Show Me the Money. And in that episode specifically, we talked about who we hoped and is going to come out to participate in the program. And one of the artists that is planning to participate is Sunny. Now, for those that don't know Sunny is an established veteran Korean hip-hop artist, but in recent times, he has been in some heavy controversies. But now, with the surprising announcement that he wants to participate in the upcoming 10th season of Show Me the Money, there has been heavy mixed reviews, and surprisingly, a young Korean hip-hop artist by the name of Kwon Ki-Baek, who is now under the label New Wave Records.
Yeah, New Wave Records.
He became kind of a critic of Sunny joining. So, to begin, what do you make of this whole controversy?
Personally, I don't think it, like, what do you call it? No one's at fault here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're hip-hop fans. Like, we're kind of familiar with artists beefing back, and it's not like morally deplorable to call someone for being, whack.
Mm-hmm.
If you think someone's whack, you're going to call it out, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's necessarily like something's going wrong here. It's just,
sure.
Like, considering how New Wave Records is helmed by Be Free, and Be Free and Sunny have a checkered past as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like, and especially Kwon Ki-Baek, disliking audition programs in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that kind of putting it all together, I think he has a record of just saying what he thinks, especially when it comes to music. This isn't the first time Kwon Ki-Baek actually stirred up some controversy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he even talked shit about the new the K-pop ITZY single.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and actually people supported him. Even ITZY fans supported him because ITZY's new song's reception was really poor.
Oh, I heard about that. I heard
the Mafia single. Yeah. Like, I don't think JYP is that talented when it comes to hip-hop production.
Mm-hmm.
And Kwon Ki-Baek called it out, and people were actually like, he's kind of right. And once he did that, and he didn't really call it out to the point where he's just saying, this song is whack. He was actually pretty logical as to why that song sucks. And I think that kind of, boosted his confidence a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of made him talk about things that, about other things as well. Like, Owen posted a Instagram story back in the days about how you shouldn't do Memphis rap unless you have a criminal record, which is kind of weird.
What kind of statement is that?
Yeah, it was a very weird statement, and Kwon Ki-Baek called it out, like, this is bullshit. And he did it in a way that's, again, pretty logical for a middle schooler especially. And I think him calling out rappers that are trying to participate in auditions is kind of an extension of that. Like, granted, he's not saying that everyone who participates are whack.
Yeah.
I think the reason Kwon Ki-Baek is calling Sunny out is because I think his thought process goes like, you haven't showed enough musical progression. You kind of regressed musically, like I said last podcast.
Of course.
And then you're trying to make it up, not just by like actually making better music but coming out of an audition program. I think that's the thought process. Like Kwon Ki-Baek is saying that it is whack. You get what I mean, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of I would say, I'm not trying to put Sunny on the spot or anything like that. I just feel like he's become like this polarizing artist, for the past year, even though he hasn't really come out
I
with
don't
anything.
think he's even polarizing anymore. It's really hard to find people who actually like Sunny's recent output. Like, it's a rarity in hip hop communities. Like, no one really actually no one talks about him anymore.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he has been like really
polarizing
quiet.
Polarizing means you have fans and you have haters, and it's like a 50-50.
Yeah.
It's not even haters anymore. Like, people don't check his music out that much at all.
Yeah, I mean, he has been in those, heavy controversies, and I guess a lot of those sparked a lot of the, backlash against him, and so
I'm not sure, because like there are many controversial figures in Korean hip hop. Like, case in point, Be Free. Like, Be Free is one of like the most controversial artists, actually, in Korean hip hop. It's not even controversial. Like, he's over controversial. Like, we consider him as like a Korean hip hop villain.
Yeah.
But but the community goes crazy when he drops an album. For example, like, I keep bringing this up because, I mean, seriously, I know it's cliched at this point, but there's not a better example than this. If Kanye drops, and I think he's dropping tomorrow, actually, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Everyone's going to check him out.
Yeah.
Why? Because, he has a great track record when it comes to music. I mean, of course, Jesus is King sucked, but that's like that was kind of a flop out of like 10 albums or something. As long as the music is good, people are going to check you out, no matter what you do. Like, that's why I say, like, cancel culture is non-existent. I mean, I get the moral sentiment behind it, and if we can actually cancel them, I think we should. But the problem is, logistically speaking, you can't cancel anyone. That's the problem with cancel culture, because cancel culture simply doesn't exist. What I'm saying here is, like, not just people. I'm not saying that people don't want to cancel somebody. What I'm saying is, it is impossible to actually cancel someone, because once you try to cancel someone, one of two things happen. They come back way later, like 3 to 5 years, or even 10 years down the road, or they just simply switch platforms. Deriving a little bit off of Korean hip hop here. You remember Rosie and Barr?
No, I don't think so.
I'm not even familiar with who she is, as a lot of Americans probably are, but she's this very contrarian comedian that used to be very critical of George W. Bush. Like, she did it in a very raunchy kind of way, and like, people loved her for that. But then recently she made some tweets that were highly Islamophobic. So the establishment and the Twitter basically canceled her, and it was canceled to the point where she got fired from her own show. And we thought we were done with her, but recently she's running around Fox News Network.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's impossible to cancel someone unless, like, it's like so over the top, like R. Kelly or something. The very fact that you can cancel someone, and what do you call it? We're going to remember us as a generation. In the future, we're going to be remembered for our ability to hold someone accountable, and that is a great thing.
Yeah.
But you're kind of naive if you think it's just being canceled on Twitter is actually going to cancel that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when it comes to the whole Sunny dynamic, it's not because he's controversial that people aren't checking him out anymore. Because no matter how controversial you are, if you make great content, people are still going to check you out. There's always going to be people. For every person who wants to cancel someone, there's going to be a person that says that is unfair, and kind of support them more.
Yeah.
Like, all the talk about Sunny's like political aspirations aside, because this is not a politics podcast. Looking at it logistically, the reason if you're like the reason someone becomes irrelevant is not because of cancel culture. It's because they kind of failed into maintaining a certain aspect of commercialism as an artist. Like Be Free is like Free the Beast, that album. That was so like people loved that album and that sold out. Like the album sold out.
Yeah.
The physical copies of that album sold out.
For sure.
You ever seen or heard about even Honey releasing physicals and if that physicals actually sold out? No.
I don't think so.
Yes, exactly. No matter how controversial you are, if you are dope, people are still going to look for you.
100%, yeah.
So
without questions.
If you're beginning to fail, or if you have kind of already failed in your career, it's not because you have your political aspirations. It's not because of like your political stance. It's not because you're contrarian. It's because you kind of fell off musically. Like that's the logical conclusion here, right?
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that.
Yeah, Kwon Ki-Baek has every right to call Sunny out, and it doesn't mean that Sunny has to be like Sunny can't retaliate, right? Like if he's going to come out on Show Me the Money 10, he has to prove himself. If he doesn't, he has to prove himself musically through other outlets. It's that simple. This isn't there's this tendency within Korea that view rap beef as a moral contest. You don't look for moral contest in like a boxing match, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like this whole reaction about he's dissing for no reason. That's what hip hop is. I mean, what did you think? Like, what do y'all people thought hip hop was?
Yeah, I just figured, with this whole Show Me the Money, 10, being kind of like the talk of the talk, and just so many things are already happening even before the show even begins. I'm just kind of surprised in a way because, but again, at some parts I'm not surprised because I kind of knew this was going to happen. But man, I just can't kind of like comprehend how, when Show Me the Money season 4 happened, Sunny was part of as a producer. And I kind of I was like, how in the world did he get that gig as a producer in
back in the days?
Money? Yeah, and then all of a sudden,
he was actually dope back in those days.
No, he was. I'm just kind of surprised and just like very shocked how he just fell into the distance, kind of faded away. And again, you mentioning how his skills aren't up to par anymore. As a matter of fact, it actually fell hard, and him wanting to come out and participate, I just think, from my perspective, let the man show his skills. Let's see what he's got. Like you said, let's see what he's got, because it is all about the music. It's not about personal attacks or anything. It's just a hip hop audition program. You're here to show off your skills. You're here to make a statement, to show that you're the best rapper in this game.
Exactly.
And if Sunny is able to, somehow pull it off, then great for him. And I just think, with this whole, I just don't think it's as serious as, people try to make it out to be, especially with programs like this. At the end of the day, it's going to come and go. You're going to have these, so-called controversy, which I don't even call it a controversy. I just call it part of the program itself, because we've had this many times before.
Exactly.
And so,
yes,
if Kwon Ki-Baek really, wants to, make a statement about that, yeah, fine, go ahead. That's you. We're not here to, judge you on that. We're here for the musical aspect of it. And so it's just, at times I'm just, all right, let's just kind of move on. Let's kind of focus on the real content. And so,
yeah, I mean, I would love to hear this track going back and forth, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Let alone, we don't even know if Sunny is really going to participate, like you said earlier.
Exactly.
We don't really know.
Like, just because a rapper says, puts up a hashtag SMTM10 and releases like a minute-long freestyle or something, doesn't mean they're going to like actually apply. A lot of the time, it's just trolling or for fun. Like Owen put up a Insta story where you can't even hear what he's saying.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's like Mnet. This is actually, I fault Mnet for this. Last season, Mnet somehow made up the rule that if you have a criminal record, you can't go on TV. I don't think that is exactly. I don't know the technical aspects, like the legal aspects behind this, but I don't think there's a reason. Like, I don't think there's a legal like limitation as to having people who have criminal records go on TV. Because there are a lot of entertainers with criminal records that go on TV. Like, this is the reason Bill Stacks couldn't participate last season. And I think it is not because necessarily about his criminal record, but he's like at the forefront of weed legalization in Korea. Yeah, and I think Mnet didn't want to get like messed up, like caught up in the whole controversy, because weed is still a very sensitive subject here.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, and so they have shown a very establishment mindset that kind of, like, they say they're for the scene, but I'm not sure. And I think Owen kind of, with his criminal record regarding marijuana, I think he was trying to make fun of that. So he put up a very weird kind of, silent application. How do you call it? What do you call that? Application freestyle? What do you call that?
Just call it a freestyle.
Yeah, I'll say show me the money freestyle. Show me the money application freestyle, I guess. And that is whack. Like, that is whack on part of Mnet, because I mean, every time the establishment fails to like push boundaries, I just look at them and like, you're not doing your jobs. Like, every time the establishment becomes boring like that, that's when culture regresses. And although the individual people involved in the program, I understand, but like, if you're not willing to even take that kind of risk, I don't think you should even call yourself content creators. I mean, seriously, like, weed?
Yeah.
It's not like they didn't even serve their due sentence. They all served their due sentence. I mean, and I think this is the most problematic part here. There are many celebrities in Korea that have been caught for weed.
Oh yeah,
and especially when it comes to entertainment, I'm pretty positive sure that most of celebrities already have done weed. Like, weed is pretty common here. It's just not legalized, and everyone does it in the you know what I mean, right? Yeah. So at this point, it's like they're discriminating hip hop. You have rock stars who did weed going on TV doing whatever they are doing right now. Hell, you can even see K-pop idols doing that shit. Yeah. Somehow, when it comes to hip hop, they discriminate even harder. Like, this stigma against hip hoppers, against rappers and the weed and all this shit, like, it's stupid. Like, even this is the biggest thing I don't get here, is because the worst incidents in Korean entertainment, case in point, Burning Sun. Yeah, people who were involved in hip hop were not involved in that.
Exactly.
Like, the worst crimes that were committed when it comes to Korean entertainment history, hip-hop was not involved in that. It was always K-pop. It was always movies. It was always actors. It was always the Korean Hollywood system. And then somehow the stigma still remains that hip-hoppers are the biggest troublemakers, which is stupid. Yeah, because we don't even have enough establishment. We don't even have of a powerful establishment as they do to create all this bullshit that they incited. And somehow we're the ones who are the problemmakers. We are the ones that are not allowed to go to the audition programs. Man, fuck you. Seriously.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, and this applies to the whole Sunny and Kwon Ki-Baek thing again. Because it's like, this is what hip-hop is. It's not like Kwon Ki-Baek tried to shoot him or anything, right? It's not like Kwon Ki-Baek saying, I'm going to beat you up. No, he didn't do that. He's just saying, your music is kind of whack. That's all he said. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, he doesn't know manners. Like, the fuck you're looking for manners in hip hop, man?
Exactly.
I mean, what the fuck are your people think hip hop is? I mean, you really prefer the hypocritical Hollywood system that trafficked humans and prostitutes
Yeah.
over people
It's
who
insane.
It's crazy. Seriously, calling out someone on IG is somehow a worse crime than trafficking humans, raping people. Man, fuck these people. Like, they don't know what their moral standards are so haywired. It's like, what are we supposed to do now?
Yeah, it needs to change. It definitely needs to change.
It needs to change. And seriously, I used to think, and I think I have said this in past podcasts as well, we have to sort of set an example in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say that's the case anymore. Man, fuck these people. No matter how hard you try, no matter how people like in the AOMG and mainstream hip hop like try to like make donations and stuff, they don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has come to a point in Korean hip hop where we really need to stop giving a fuck about the masses anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this country is so bad. This country is so provides a very desert-like environment for people involved in independent culture.
Yeah.
Like, this is not just a case for hip hop. Like back in the 2000s. Like back in the 2000s, you might actually this is a Korean music history that a lot of my podcasters listeners have to know. Back in 2008, I think it was 2008. I might not be sure. Look it up yourselves or something. I think it's at least the late 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
This was before hip hop was established. This was when Korean punk music was on the rise. Korean independent music was on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of the first independent wave in Korean music, I guess. And what happened was there was a punk band called Couch that went on TV and pulled down their pants.
What the heck?
And look, it was on national TV, pulling down your pants. All right. I personally, as a kind of a millennial here, don't see the problem in that, but I can see how people wouldn't have liked that. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Going on national TV and pulling down your pants probably was problematic. But what happened was the establishment put that as an excuse to kill independent music. People like the major press, the major what do you call it, studios, I guess? Like, what do you call your I just can't think of the word right now because I'm so pissed. The broadcasting systems.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of blacklisted independent culture just because that one band. And independent culture suffered so badly from that. It could have, like, I guess, started way earlier than it currently has. Like, we could have had at least a 10 years head start. But music itself suffered for that. Like, it's like, see, they're not establishment. They're a bunch of goons. That's basically what the Korean establishment treated, like, the independent scene. And that kind of stigma still sticks to hip-hop. Like, that killed Korean rock music. Like, Korean punk got destroyed after that. And it's ever been like this independent musician, be it whatever genre you are, like, they're kind of considered second-rate citizens in a way compared to the K-pop idols or, the established record companies making those entertainers.
For sure.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from them either. It's just that there are different modes of success. There's different modes of expression in art, and that is not happening here. Like, people think Korea is liberal. We're not liberal. We're definitely not liberal. And I'm not
extremely conservative.
Yeah, we're not even talking about politics here. I'm talking about the general atmosphere.
Yeah, like the whole culture itself is very conservative. Yeah,
you have to consider we didn't have the hippie movement,
Yeah.
like the whole like Western cultural revolution you had in the 60s and 70s, we didn't have that. And the implications of not having that is huge.
Yeah.
All the like the cultural problems we had, like weed, like independent culture being stigmatized and everything, it is a result of this absence. And this is not something that can be solved, because at this point, we do have the technology. Like we advanced seriously far when it comes to economics and everything. But that doesn't mean that culturally we are viable enough to do that. Like, still, we cannot, like, what do you call it? There's a reason why Korean hip hop doesn't have as many conscious rappers as the American or British thing does. Because if you become conscious and you begin to talk about actual politics,
oh yeah, they can get pretty messy.
They'll lynch you.
Yeah, it can get messy.
The system will lynch you, and the system includes the masses as well. We are like at least 2 decades behind when it comes to the actual content of our art.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with that.
The aesthetic versions of it, the aesthetics, we have really catched on. But that's it.
Yeah.
The aesthetics are here. The actual things that we can speak about are not there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a pretty intense kind of culture, I would say, just because, of all the things you've mentioned, and knowing, because I haven't been to Korea personally, but I can feel that conservative, tension, that atmosphere
wire is
to
sticking
it.
out kind of thing.
Exactly. And so I think, hopefully, with this season, I just hope people kind of forego it to the point where they don't dwell on it too severely. I hope they just kind of just see it, but then not like really get so into it, because at the end of the day, it's an audition. It's all about promoting your talents, your skills, right?
Yeah.
And so, so hopefully, once the season starts, hopefully it passes by, and then, the program will transition well,
I mean, the one thing I realized as I was like kind of studying pop culture and everything, when it comes to these cultural implications and complexities, like the West seems to have a scope. The West seems to be the masses against the establishment, in a sense. Here it's the opposite. The masses are the establishment, and the establishments are the masses. We're in a situation where, like, we're surrounded by enemies, I guess. It's just, and every time I look at because this Kwon Ki-Baek and Sani thing, they look at this weird. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it's something.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I don't think it's something to be major.
If this is looked upon as weird, I don't think the hip hop that I know is actually properly implemented here, and I'm not sure if it actually can be implemented in the future.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe the whole, how we had the conversation about how hip hop is K-hip hop is becoming a lot like K-pop?
Yeah.
Maybe that is the logical progression. Maybe that is what Korean hip hop is. Maybe I am the stubborn one. Maybe I am stuck in this mindset that maybe this is what Korean hip hop should be about. Who knows?
No, but I think you have your say, and that's perfectly fine. It's just, I think it's the other people need to kind of like, how do I say this? Kind of like transition, like past all this kind of tension, and just really just focus on the music aspect of it. Don't even think about what's around it. Just forget about the things that's surrounding the program.
That's the thing though, Daniel. Like, they don't. Like, and,
no, exactly. No,
and
I get what you're saying.
It's not because they're close-minded.
Of course not.
At conclusion, like looking at it from a conclusion perspective, they are close-minded, of course, but I don't think that's because they as an individual are trying to be close-minded as possible. I think that is kind of a result of how the eras have changed.
Yeah, for sure. I guess what I'm trying to say is just kind of, you have your own say. That's perfectly fine. What I'm trying to say is just take it for what it is. It's bound to happen. So just kind of like, just kind of enjoy the program. Just have fun with the program and just kind of move on from there and just see what happens next. Don't like dwell on it because it's it's a show me the money program and there's some kind of issue. We've had this stuff before.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like, that's what I think audition programs might be about. Like, kind of moving on to a different angle here. Like,
yeah,
I see audition programs as essentially the same thing as reality TV.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. There's nothing much different. And reality TV is all about controversy. It's all about drama.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what auditions are. And
for sure.
What I'm confused here is that all the problems I have with the perception of hip hop, what I'm confused as a commentator on the culture is that maybe, is this our fault in a sense? Because we talked about this, and like the audition program has become the status quo. Like, it's become
one-sided.
The most effective weapon in getting your success.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, it is harder to find mainstream acts that didn't benefit from audition programs, right?
Yeah.
So maybe in the process of expanding this culture, we have effectively fused the elements of drama and reality TV into the core of what hip hop is.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it is a problem of not the masses looking at us in a weird way. Maybe we really have turned weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's our identity has changed. And that's why I'm saying that while it is very frustrating and there are very hypocritical moments that piss me off, at the end of the day, like, this might be our problem. And this is not just Korean hip hop, I think. In the States, again. You remember, like, everyone knows Jake Paul, right?
Yeah.
He's a dumbass, by the way. He's a jackass. Everyone knows that. But one thing that kind of really alarmed me back in the day was when he had a single called Everyday Bro.
Never heard of it.
Oh, please. You'd never heard of it?
I'm not updated with the culture, man. I try to stay away from these things and just kind of focus on,
That was, I think it was around the time Kendrick dropped Damn.
Oh, okay, interesting.
You never heard England Is My City?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, Everyday Bro is a bunch of YouTube influencers being a jackass and making a rap song. And you know the simple trap rap songs?
Yeah.
Yeah, and go ahead and check the YouTube. It is one of the most obnoxious and stupid songs ever created. But but for a moment, that song beat out Kendrick Lamar on iTunes.
Oh, interesting.
It reached #1 on iTunes. When Damn was released, when Damn was on high power, like when Damn was really killing the charts, that beat out Humble for a moment, I think, on iTunes. Jake Paul, a white guy with a bunch of money, and his team, who is stupid enough to write lyrics like England Is My City, made it #1 on iTunes for a short moment.
I mean, that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it's not just disappointing, it was alarming. It was really alarming. And back in the days, I felt like it was alarming. Luckily, I didn't, the worst scenario I had in mind actually didn't manifest. But it manifests in different ways now. Like, because the thing is, Jake Paul improved. Now you have a white frat boy making actually music that bumps. And usually it's because it was ghostwritten. Jake Paul had a single called Fresh Out of London, I think. And it was ghostwritten by Designer. There's always, and Jake Paul, contrary to what a lot of people think, he's not independent. He had venture capitals coming in and throwing money at him. You always have to going to, like, what I'm trying to say here is that the establishment and the industry has always ways of bastardizing whatever movement that exists. In a sense, you have to remain vigilant to it.
Of course.
But that's what I've always said throughout this podcast. But recently, what I began thinking about is that maybe what if independent culture in general is impossible now? What if what we consider counter-capitalism, what we consider counter-establishment, maybe what we consider independent is now also a commodity of industry? Where the anti-industry sentiments and anti-industry aesthetics are also industrialized. Because that's basically, in my eyes, what happened to Korean hip-hop.
Yeah.
I can't blame the people going on auditions because it's better than them starving, right?
Yeah, of course.
They need to find a way to live. Like they need to find a way to put food on the table. So we face in this era, in this day and age of cultural content, we are faced with a paradox, a very uncomfortable paradox, that what we love so much about something when it's underdog stuff, maybe that is not underdog anymore. Not because it is an individual sold out their soul, quote unquote, but because the system is kind of structured that way.
That's true. I think at the end of the day, it's, again, in my opinion, it's what you make of it. And I think hopefully, with the season coming in, I just hope, people just take it for what it is, like I always said, and just kind of like enjoy it and just kind of like don't dwell on it, So, hopefully the season goes well. So.
Yeah. And the ultimate message I want to say on this episode is that with this mentality, like with this kind of, if what I said is indeed true, when it comes to beefs and stuff, this is a little bit of personal advice because I have been heavily involved in cultural content and reviewing it and consuming it and everything. There's no such thing as purity in art.
Of course.
Period. It's impossible. Once something is commoditized, it's impossible. As much as there a fucking cent involved, it can't be pure. What we consider pure are in social movements, in political movements, it cannot be implemented into art. What I'm trying to say here is that idolizing someone, idolizing celebrities, thinking they're your friend, thinking that they somehow care about you, I'm sorry, but that is a delusion. I have been disappointed so many times, and I have been surprised as many times as well. Throughout my career of loving music, that's one thing I realized. They are not Webermensches. They're not above you. They're not below you. They are kind of like you. You know what I mean? They're not better than you. They're not worse than you. Just treat them like you would any other person. You don't idolize your local restaurant that you go a lot of the times, right? You might like their food. You don't idolize that restaurant. You don't idolize your local bodega. You don't. Treat celebrities like that. Treat celebrities as a consumer and as a producer of the goods that you consume.
Yeah.
Keep your distance. That's what I'm trying to say here. And in following that thought pattern, like saying someone is like for example, this Kwon Ki-Baek thing. Like Kwon Ki-Baek did something wrong. Don't care about it. Like Kwon Ki-Baek, let's say Kwon Ki-Baek kind of like with the whole Sunny debacle, right? Like he was wrong to call out Sunny.
Yeah.
Maybe he was, maybe he isn't. But the person who's losing energy over this is you. He doesn't care what you think. The very fact that you get angry over like celebrities is kind of a waste of energy. You get what you get. I want good albums. I want good music. That's it. If you think about this, the very fact that you have to cancel someone, for example, like this now, Kwon Ki-Baek as Honey aside, let's just say in celebrities period, when you have to cancel someone, it means that that person has enough influence that you have to cancel, right? If that person doesn't have influence, you don't have to cancel him or her. But if you think about it, the people who gave that person that much influence is us.
Mm-hmm.
No one man or woman should have that power in the first place. If we have not idolized them in the first place, this shit wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we hadn't idolized R. Kelly that much, if we haven't idolized fucking Bill Cosby, if we hadn't idolized Chung Jun-yo, they wouldn't have had the power to do that kind of criminal activities in the first place. Granted, if we consume their stuff, we give them money. That's true. That's inevitable. But we give more than money to celebrities. That's the problem. They give us goods, we give them money. That should be it.
Yeah.
View them as people. They're not gods. They're not your masters.
Mm-hmm.
They're not your role models. You don't consider someone you don't know personally a role model. That is foolish. If you really think about it, that is not a great choice in your life. That's not a good choice to make. Stop over-investing in celebrities, period. And I know saying this kind of might be against a podcast that is supposed to be talking about celebrity culture, the irony of it. But at the end of the day, that's what's good for you and that's what's good for me. Don't give them the power in the first place.
Yeah.
That's it. That's, I guess, the public service announcement for today.
No, it was very, I think it's very powerful. I think it's something that we did address, outside the context of, the whole show me the money, beef and controversy that's going on. I think it's really important to address these kinds of issues so that, people get a clear understanding or more of a, more descriptive knowledge about, stuff that goes on, the outside of it, like the deep substance of it.
It's like this. How capital makes capital.
Yeah.
Like capital has a tendency to self kind of reproduce in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not labor. And I think that applies to cultural content as well.
Mm-hmm.
The very fact that you're watching Show Me the Money is already giving them commodity, is giving them money. And that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start to have additional discussions, if you start to have, if you begin to overinvest yourself emotionally into that, you're giving more than you bargained, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't give them more than you bargained for. That's all I'm saying here. Celebrities don't owe you anything, and you don't own it. Celebrities don't owe you anything, and that's the same for vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, fame itself is a commodity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of commodity is kind of subconsciously handed to them without our knowledge, or in fact, without their knowledge as well.
Yeah.
It is up to us to remove that from the aspect and actually treat them as artists and not as celebrities, not as these idols or gods.
For sure. I agree.
Yeah.
It's just kind of our perspective. And so, hopefully, things kind of transition.
Granted, this is just in theory, because I'm probably not a lot of people before me probably thought this as well. It's just, this is not something this kind of thinking probably existed a long time ago, and a lot of people still think this, what I just said today. But the reason I guess it is not being actually implemented is because it is not exactly applicable.
Mm-hmm.
But not applying something because without knowing the implications of it, and just not doing something because you have no knowledge of it whatsoever, is a completely different kind of, it's completely different.
Yeah.
And having this kind of uncomfortable sentiment in a way in the back of your head
Mhm.
constantly calling out to your, I guess, conscious or whatever. I think that's important, you know?
Yeah.
We give way too much power to these celebrities. We give way too much power to someone, not because they don't deserve it, but because no one deserves this. No one should have this much influence, period.
So yeah, I mean, hopefully again, like I've been mentioning, just hopefully the season progresses well and people just take it for what it is. And so yeah, let's just hope for the best of this upcoming season. So moving on to our final topic, just like our previous episode where we each picked out 10 songs to talk about, instead of 10,
yes.
we each picked out 5 songs for the summer K-pop songs to talk about. So the first song I picked was Yummda, and the song is called Anadoo, and it features Zion T, and it's off of
that's a great
Yummda's
song.
Breathe 3 album, which came out last year. And I really love this song.
Wait. The album is called Breathe in English?
Yeah. I don't know.
Really?
It's weird.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what it has it on iTunes. But I mean, I love this. I love this song. I love this record.
I mean, it's not wrong, but it was a quite literal translation. Oh, okay, translation. All right.
It's a perfect summer song. I mean, I love the tropical infused beat. And the producer on the song was Midas P, and I know he's one of the kind of like rookie producers out there. But I just love the project. It's not just catchy, but I just love how the chemistry between Zion T and Yummda, they kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
And I just love that about the whole project itself. It has like this very up tempo kind of dance hall type of tropical vibe to it, and so I just think it's a perfect song for the summer. So if you're out there looking for a summer track, definitely Yummda's Hanadu is a really solid summer track.
Wow, they call it Breathe in English, huh?
Hey man, it's
granted,
iTunes.
The listeners of this podcast, it sounds way cooler in Korean. Just because it has kind of a lame title doesn't mean that you shouldn't check it out. Breathe is actually one of Yummda's catchphrases. It's 살아 숨쉬어 in Korean, which is the closer connotation to is survive rather than breathe.
Apparently it has Breathe 1, 2, and 3 on the iTunes. I just go with that.
That is a lame ass title. But the song is great. Seriously, Hanadu is a great song. It's just because of the album title. Like, no, definitely check it out. But albums are great. Like the Breathe series, I guess, quote unquote, 1, 2, 3, all of them are great. So check it all out. I would go with the classic here, Beenzino Summer Madness.
Oh, I was thinking about that.
The song itself. I mean, the title says Summer Madness.
Yeah.
This is just a very chill song. Kind of a Mac Miller vibe, the jazzy Mac Miller vibe.
Yeah, and I sense that.
Yeah, it just feels like you turn this on and then you see why it's named Summer Madness. Like, the summer nights where it's humid and it's hot and you kind of need to chill out a bit and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I would say it's one of his more underrated songs too. It doesn't get played that often, so.
And it's a really laid back tune, and it's about picking up, prospective sexual partners. I'm going a little British here. And I mean, there's not much to say. It's really minimalist, but very effective. The Quiet has a simple song here. Yeah, it's a very simple song, but I mean, it's the perfect vibe out song. So yeah,
for sure. For my second song, I went, since you said a simple song, I kind of went with another simple song. I went with Palolato's Move On, and it was off of his Love, Money, and Dreams album, which came out in 2019. It was part of a single, and he kind of built it up towards the end of it.
Yeah.
But this is a perfect case of another simple song. Just a simple beat, just kind of like smooth for the summer, And the music video is so like clean, I would say. It's just kind of, you're out in the sun, just kind of
those has a knack for those kind of visuals. I think that clean, futuristic, little bit kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's if you watch the music video and kind of listen to the song, you'll kind of see why it's a good summer track. It's produced by Big Banana, so I mean all of his songs are like or his beats are pretty simple, and so Yeah, it's like
A
another
4K
like I would say like
resolution kind of visual.
yeah, it's like a chill
Yeah,
summer vibe
exactly.
song. So yeah, definitely check out Palo Alto's Move On.
You know what? We did the chill stuff. Let's go a bit noisier, I guess.
Hmm.
So Samuel has a single called Jungle Riot.
Oh, So Samuel is really good. I like
But
his music.
this Jungle Riot track was released before the Misfits album dropped, but it wasn't actually included in there.
Mhm.
But like you look at the title and you know what it's about. It's kind of noisy. There's lots of horns and stuff.
Interesting.
So it's like it's almost a little bit ravey in a sense.
Mhm.
And you feel that kind of tropicalness, but there's a tribal vibe to it as well. So
Yeah.
it's a very high energy track. Like this is not your chill, but more like a summer party kind of thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like these, it almost has a kind of tropical vibe as well, but in a different manner. Like it is not the Hawaiian tropicals; it's more like the Amazon tropical kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a difference in that, and I think that's what this track encompasses, a little bit of a primal vibe to it. So definitely check it out. It's every time Sasamo does something, I'm surprised. Ever since that
Yeah,
Unity album.
Yeah, he's a underrated singer.
Yeah, I mean, this is the guy that should be topping the charts, not chopping the whatever. Like seriously, because every time he drops something since Unity, because a lot of people like his first two albums, which dabbles heavily in electronica, and I like them as well. It's just like I don't think he was as vocally proficient in those first two albums compared to how ambitious it was. But ever since the Unity album, when he went to a completely neo soul jazz influenced direction, he became really comfortable in how to use his vocal intonations and how he writes the rhythm. And ever since that album, he has been one of the most forward-thinking R&B artists in Korea. Period.
For sure.
Yeah, like I have never seen an R&B singer do something like this Jungle Riot track or the Misfits kind of thing. I mean, you had bands that jammed out to these kind of musics, but this kind of music, but you never actually had an R&B singer write these kind of rhythms above them. And So Samuel is such an interesting artist, and I'm recommending Jungle Riot right now, but I suggest everyone listening to this, like, seriously check out his entire discography. You will not be disappointed at all.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So my third song, I went with a instant classic that everybody knows. You know, I went with Illionaire Records, YGGR featuring MC Meta, and it's off of Illionaire Records. Anthem? I consider it to be the summer anthem because
I mean, granted, it was crazy in the summer that it was released.
Because it has like a prototypical summer anthem to it. You know what this song reminds me of? Like, I'm not making a huge comparison of it, but it just kind of reminds me of DJ Khaled's "All I Do Is Win."
All I do is win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the comparison.
It's not like a direct comparison, but because it's such
that Miami boom shit, you know.
Yeah, and you know everybody knows it. You know, when you hear it, like when that beat turns on, like everybody, oh, this is YGGR, or oh, All I Do Is Win. I know this song. You know? So it's an instant classic. So
yeah, exactly.
And I know,
boomers know this song.
Exactly. And I remember Del Quiet and Beenzino performed this at Waterbomb Festival in 2019. So
it was bound to be crazy.
It's always to me, it'll always be a summer hit. And it's like a party summer song too. So, I mean, it's such a mainstream hip hop classic hit. So for people who need, you know, like a song that needs like a party anthem kind of like type vibe, then I highly recommend checking out YGGR. Yeah. It's an addicting song too, so.
I mean, at this point, that's classic. Like, that's the song that changed, that's the song that changed everything. I mean,
exactly.
It's not because I don't consider that a summer party album, a party song. I just consider that a party song, period.
No, yeah, for sure. It can be played any time of the year, which is why I included in the summer. So yeah.
All right. Since you put out that booming stuff, man, I swear I fuck up the terminology sometime.
You're good.
Let me go with the more personal stuff.
Okay.
The stuff you don't party to the speakers, but the stuff you party to alone when you're listening to on earphones. Legit Goons is famous for these kind of summer anthems a lot of the times.
Ooh,
and
Legit Goons.
There's a certain sense of grooviness to it. It's not like in your face like yggr is, but it has a certain bounce to it that really suits the summer like atmosphere, you know? And they have so many of these kind of tracks. But my personal favorite is off of their second album, Camp, which goes by the name of Yajasu.
Okay.
Which is in English probably means coconut tree.
Okay.
Yeah. And it is a very gentle guitar lick and has a very bouncy flow and a super catchy hook. That's pretty much it though. Because Legit Goons has several rappers. Like the song doesn't get old even though it's very simple because these three rappers are so different from each other. So you have a certain sense of tension and a perfect balance between tension and chillness.
Okay.
And that's I think what Legit Goons always like does really well. So if you're looking for summer anthems, like I just said Coconut Tree here, but I'm not sure even that's the English title actually. The Korean name is Yajasu. So
for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, their albums are so summery. I strongly recommend you check out all of their albums and especially the second and third one. Like it fits the season perfectly. Like just throw them on and if it's summer it will fit anywhere. So
for sure.
Yeah, Legit Goons, Tropical Tree, Coconut Tree, I don't know, Yajasu, but check out their albums as well, the second and third one.
For sure. So my fourth song, I went with PH1 and I went with a song called Bool, well obviously translates into fire, and it features Beenzino, and it was off of PH1's mini album which dropped in 2019 called Summer Episodes. And this song is what I would call a clubby summer pool party song. I mean, the title of the song kind of says it all. It's pool, it's fire. And so it has like this very house kind of dance kind of beat to it. And I know Mokyo produced this beat.
Yeah, Mokyo and PH1 like worked together a lot.
It was a collab. Yeah. So this is a perfect song for when you're at like a kind of like a pool party, I would say, and you're needing a, kind of like a pump up jam. Yeah, I definitely recommend this song. Yeah. I mean, there's really nothing more to say if you actually listen to it. If you actually just listen to it, you'll be, oh, this is okay. This is a perfect summer beach kind of beach pool party type. I mean,
this
song,
is the quote unquote what we call summer vibe. Like
exactly,
like,
exactly.
And once you hear it, you know what it is.
And the album itself, it's called Summer Episodes, so it's already perfect for the summer.
Yeah, I think that it is a very great song. And Beenzino, I think Beenzino is the perfect rapper when it comes to summer vibes.
Dude, his voice just fits perfectly.
Like, I think like his jazzy fact material is either for the spring or the fall.
Yeah,
but his original material is really geared towards summer. I've never heard a winter vibe from Beenzino yet.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't think it fits that much. I mean, that's up for E-Sense. People like E-Sense. But anyway, plowing ahead. Actually, I have a song from an album that is strictly geared towards summer as well. Khakii has an EP album called The Summer Rush.
I like him. He's a good artist.
Yeah. And coincidence, maybe it's coincidence, but he like admits that he's very heavily influenced by Beenzino as well. So anyway, it dropped in 2020 last year, and it's a very short 4-track EP. But off of these 4 tracks, there's a song called Shidong, which means ignition. in English, and it's really literally about ignition.
Kind of taking off.
Yeah, I mean the song starts off with a car ignition sound.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and it is a almost like dirty southern rock element to it, almost a desert rock kind of vibe to it. Like there's a chord progression by guitars, and it's so Mad Maxy in a sense.
That I was gonna actually say that Mad Max kind of.
Yeah, it has that kind of like running kind of vibe to it, you know, that almost a pirate dirge kind of thing, and it really works not just as a party jam, but I think it kind of fits when you're exercising, I guess, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is on my exercising playlist as well, but
nice.
Because of the whole summery vibe to it, it is great if you're jogging outside or like stuff like that. So this is one of the summer songs I keep returning to. I mean, I return to the song, period, whether it's summer or not, but summer is especially more fitting to this song. And his flow on this is so sick. Like it's so laid back, but tight at the same time. It's just, this song is what made me really anticipate Khakii as an artist of what he will do in his studio albums. And this was actually, I made a list for Hip Hop Play last year.
Mm-hmm.
And this was in like the top 10 songs of the year.
Oh,
I put it in there. Yeah, this is a really great song. So definitely check it out.
Check that out.
Yeah.
For sure. So for my final song, I went with a more recent song, and it's by DJ Spray and Blasé. And the song is called Back. And it was off of a collaboration between Spray and Blasé. It's a mini album called Snatch. And this song, it's not, if you hear it, you wouldn't be like, oh, why is this on the summer playlist? But I just love the kind of the concept, the lyrics, because it says, I'm back. And I put it there because you know how we're in the season of, you know, the pandemic and all that.
Yeah.
And, you know, once, you know, we recover, hopefully soon.
I'm back, motherfuckers.
Exactly. It's like that's how I interpret the song. Like I'm back. Like finally we're back to we're back to society. We're back to hitting the beaches, the pool. You know, that summer sensation. So I kind of wanted to bring the song to give it off more as this could be used as a summer song too. It's just like when you're in the car, you're like, I'm back, people. We're all back. You know, and so. It's just a really perfect, and I just love the beat to it. It's like kind of an unorthodox melody too. How Spray incorporates the kind of like this real interesting beat. And I know DJ Spray wasn't like a real prominent producer in the past because he was more of a DJ because he was like part of a b-boy crew. But I think over time he's aged into a really
competent,
like an emerging singer. Yeah. So I'm really excited for more beats produced by Spray, and so this is one of the tracks that really stood out to me for Spray.
Like the only problem I had with that EP was that it was so short.
Oh,
like
of course, it's
like
very
Blasé
short,
and Spray
very
needs
short.
to, like Blasé and Spray need to put out an entire project together. Like like they fit in together really nicely. And I mean, I just mentioned Khakii, and they're very close with Khakii too, from what I know, and. They're also very good friends with Coogie, So they have to put out a collaborative album or something. Like, they fit in really nice together. And the last song, let's go with Camo. Tiffany Cartier. Camo is one of the hottest people in the scene right now. Period. Like, she's rising.
Super talented.
Yeah.
Super talented.
Not only that, but I think she has a very mainstream appeal to her as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her recent EP was a nice variation, I think. Usually I prefer better when she really raps, but I think
for a debut that was really good.
And it showed a nice variety to it, and one of the songs I really liked was Tiffany Cartier.
Yeah, that song was fire.
Yeah, it has a nice summer, not necessarily summer, but a very pool party type of vibe. A night pool party. Yeah, vibe to it. It's not the most like original songs out there, but if you look, like, in this kind of playlist, you don't look for originality. You look for how
No.
effective it is. And this is a very quote unquote effective party song. Not party,
sure.
but a nice lounge kind of thing to it, I think.
Oh yeah, I can definitely hear that in the lounge.
This is not the party you like party hard to. This is a song you put on the party, but not when you're actually raving. You know,
I would even say it's a kind of like a nightlife summer song.
Yeah,
you know,
the
kind
night
of like
riding
the after
kind of
hours
vibe to it. Yeah, definitely. Like this, the vibe of this song is so intoxicating, and I love that about it. And
yeah, it's a real good song.
Camo is such a promising artist in the scene right now, especially considering her next EP. Like she exclusively says she's going to be like rapping. So
that's even better. You know, just I like the diversity that's already.
Yeah,
built,
I think she's a multiplayer. Like she can do anything, and
for sure.
Yeah, so definitely check this. Like check the whole album out, as I always say, but. Here as a playlist, Tiffany Cartier by Camo is a great song. Check it out. Yeah.
For sure. So, you know, as we begin to slowly wrap up our show, you know, as usual, any artist or tracks that you're currently listening to, or is there a track from our selection today that you would like to share or recommend to our listeners?
I'm not even going to recommend a hip hop song. I already recommended 5 hip hop songs. Let's go with a Korean kind of classic pop here.
Even better.
Like these days, I'm listening to some Korean ballad stuff.
Nice. I love ballad.
But the conventional ballad structure is not for me. It's one of the reasons why I was gravitated toward K-hip hop. But there are exceptions to these rules because there are Korean artists that were involved in the ballad scene but still put out groundbreaking music. And one of those people is called Yoon.
Oh, legend.
You probably, if you're Korean, if you're especially familiar with K-pop and just Korean music in general, you probably saw him pop up somewhere. Like he's a legend. Like
the bass player,
and he's one of the most prominent figures in Korean music to first implement electronics to their music.
Agreed.
Like when it comes to like sound engineering, there's not many people that is more experienced than Yoon is. And his masterpiece is usually considered one of the 2 albums, which is Insensible and Cliche. I like both of them, but I prefer Cliche slightly more because it is a more fully realized album. Insensible is an EP, while Cliche is a full-length album. And there's a song called City Life.
Okay.
It is a city pop vibe kind of vibe. I mean,
I like that.
I mean, the title says it in itself, and it fits with the summer vibe very well too. You know, that whole warm synthesizer kind of thing, and there's a steady beat to it as well. I mean, one of the things I like about Yoon is that while he does make ballad music, his melodies are ballad stuff. Like the production is very synthy. The production is very electronic. And he has a sort of diversity in his music that refuses to be kind of boxed into this Korean balladry of where everything is just strings. Definitely check out this Cliche album by Yoon. It was released in the year 2000, which makes this record 21 years old.
Wow.
Like this is a classic. This is a classic in Korean music history, period. So definitely check it out. It will sound dated, but at this point, if you're listening to a record that is 20 years old, you're kind of anticipating it to be dated anyway. So, Yoon, City Life, great lyrics, great production, a very unconventional but pleasant melody to it as well. So, definitely check it out. Like, you know what? Check out Yoon, period. He's a legend.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
He's a fucking legend. Without him, Korean music will have not come as far as it has come right now. We would still be struggling with electronics a lot without Yoon.
That's true.
Yeah. Yoon, Cliche album, City Life, check it out.
So for my final song, I stayed with the hip hop song and I went with not a summer hip hop song, but I went with, again, E-Sense. And I went with a song called Bucky featuring Master Wu and Kim Il.
Amazing song.
And yeah, dude, I just, for me with this song, this kind of took time for me to like it, actually.
Yeah.
It took me would say at least 5 times,
Really?
to really appreciate. Yeah, I heard it once and I was like, okay, I'm like
The rhythm sounds off the first time you hear it.
it's not only off, but then the sound choice was very unorthodox and
Yeah.
it was, I would say, experimental. But
It was
when I
super
looked at
minimalistic.
yeah, and when I saw who the producer was, it was Frank, and I was like, oh, I'm not surprised. But on the 5th listen, I was like, why did it take me this long to like the song? I like, what is wrong with me? And
Actually, a lot
Ever
of
since-
people thought that way.
yeah, I wouldn't blame them because
Yeah, I mean, granted, a lot of people liked it in the first listen, but there were a substantial amount of people who couldn't kind of like, what is this? Because when it comes to Frank with his work in XXX and Triple X, how should you call this? XXX or Triple X?
I call it Triple X.
All right, Triple X then. His work in Triple X is usually blown out as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it's very abrasive, the soundscape of it. Even when it's a little bit poppier, it's like so in your face. And what he did on Esen's second album was a completely different direction. Like, the sound palette is same, is still very electronic, but it is very laid back and minimal.
Yeah.
And I think that caught a lot of people off guard because
they weren't used to it.
yeah, fans of Frank is like, this is a new direction. But fans of Esen's actually liked it because Esen's doesn't usually ride upon blown out production. Like, Esen's shines best when it comes to minimal stuff.
Yeah.
So I think Frank kind of tailor made it for Esen's, and it worked out great. And Bucky is a good example of it.
It's such a groovy song when you just keep vibing to it. The more you listen to it, the more it grooves. Like, the song has like this weird, funky kind of a beat pattern that really works.
Futuristic funk to it. Like,
yeah,
the groove is so unconventional. Like,
it's really, really experimental.
Especially if you understand Korean. Like, at first, it might even seem like Esen's is offbeat.
Yeah,
but he really isn't. And that Kim Il verse, oh god, like, dude, that Kim Il verse at the end.
He slayed that beat at the end.
He killed that shit. Yeah, I thought it was fun. Wow, he sounds so much like Kendrick here. And then it wasn't like almost like a copycat or something, but it was like like this kind of like catharsis you hear in a Kendrick verse. Like, I got that from Kim Il. He sounded so dope over that. I wish he rapped more. Like,
he really
I wish too.
I wish the song was a bit longer, but I mean, regardless, for those people out there, is looking for stuff that's just unconventional, just unorthodox, take a listen to Bucky, and you'll hear the very unorthodox style to it. So
Master will kill that hook too.
Yeah, you did too. Yeah,
there are two kings in Korean hip hop when it comes to having this super laid back, simplistic style, but so slick at the same time. One is the Quiet, and the other is Master Wu.
Yeah.
This, like, it seems like they're lazy, almost, but they're not. In a sense, but it's really hard to emulate their style. It really is, and that kind of lazy aesthetic is what makes it so cool. It makes it sound so effortless,
Exactly.
It's a good song. It's a fucking amazing track. Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, but please do comment and let us know what you think of today's topic. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please go and subscribe to our podcast on all streaming platforms, and please give us that 5-star rating. If you want more K-hip-hop contents, go check out Daytona's Instagram at myk_Daytona for K-hip-hop album reviews, and also follow our social media page at Seoul_Therapy. Thank you guys so much, and see you guys next time. Peace.